Roger Taylor, the drummer in legendary rock band Queen, once observed in an interview for Rolling Stone magazine that there were an awful lot of tribute acts around, some good, some of them not good. Supreme Queen, who are set to recreate the instantly recognisable chart-topping songs and rock anthems of a live Queen concert when they perform at the Millfield Theatre in Edmonton on Saturday night, fortunately fall into the first category. The group had been emulating the iconic band since 1995, providing a slice of nostalgia and giving people who never saw Queen perform live the chance to experience the energy, excitement and theatrical showmanship of one of the biggest stadium rock bands in the world. Frontman Scott Maley, who is an uncannily realistic-looking Freddie Mercury with stage persona and wonderful vocal range to match, says, "Our ethos is to create the Queen live experience with all the authenticity and uniqueness of what is Queen's legacy." Joining him is Nathan Mathers, who has the electric guitar virtuosity needed to be a convincing Brian May. As well as performing in the UK, the four-piece have toured Europe and Asia and even appeared in front of 6 million viewers on primetime TV with Graham Norton. In the words of one of rock's most recognisable anthems, "We will rock you," added Scott.
A public footpath and cycleway in Southgate has been reopened. The Cheney Walk open space in Grange Park has been closed since May 2013, when the Environment Agency began work on Salmons Brook to alleviate flooding. David Burrows, Enfield Southgate MP, cut the ribbon to declare the space officially open. He said, "It is important to mark the significant flood alleviation scheme, and as far as my constituents are concerned, the relief that completion is in sight. My constituents can now look forward to using this valued open space again." The construction work at Cheney Walk and at the adjacent Enfield Golf Club has provided a flood storage area to hold back heavy flows in the Salmons Brook when there is a heavy rainfall. Caroline Douglas, area manager for Hertfordshire and North London, who hosted the event, said, "I am pleased that we could mark the hand back of the pathway and cycleway to local residents. We are aware that such major construction work can cause local disruption and thank residents for their patience. I can assure residents that we will continue to maintain a presence on the site while completing the landscaping work. In the meantime, we are protecting the newly planted grass to ensure it gets well established. The open space will be restored fully in the next few months, and then the public will be able to enjoy it to the full."
The managing director of a metalworks company has been given a suspended jail term for manslaughter after one of his workers was crushed by heavy machinery. Mohammed Babamiri, 59, of Poplar Grove, New Southgate, was given an 18-month sentence, suspended for 2 years at Snaresbrook Court last week after being found guilty of manslaughter and breaching health and safety legislation. David Hawkins, 31, of Harlow, Essex, was acquitted of manslaughter and found guilty of health and safety offences. He was handed a 6-month sentence, suspended for 2 years. Babamiri's firm, RK Metalworks, was found guilty of breaching health and safety laws and fined a total of £150,000. Hastingwood Securities Limited, a property management company, was also found guilty of breaking health and safety laws. Sentence will be delivered at a later date. Shanol Shevka Almet was living in Gloucester Road, Edmonton, with a wife and 2 young sons at home in Bulgaria. He had been working at RK, which operated from a unit owned by Hastingwood Securities in Harbett Road, Edmonton, for a few weeks when the company tried to move machinery on January 11th, 2013. Staff tried to move a large metal guillotine, but it fell over, trapping Mr. Shevka Ahmed beneath. The police, London Ambulance Service and London's Air Ambulance all arrived, and a carjack was used to lift the machine off Mr. Shevka Ahmed. He was transferred to the Royal London Hospital in Whitechapel, East London, and died that afternoon from crush injuries. Babamiri told officers at the scene he had been driving a forklift truck to move the machine. He did not have a licence to drive the forklift. CCTV showed that Hawkins, who worked for Hastings Trading Estate, was helping and had also been driving a forklift. He had been left by the time police and the health and safety executive arrived to investigate. HSE Inspector Kevin Smith said, "The circumstances surrounding Chanel's tragic death are barely comprehensible. How anyone could have considered moving the guillotine with such inadequate equipment and an apparent absence of any planning as a safe and acceptable practice frankly beggars belief. Doing so was fraught with risk, and it was entirely foreseeable that should the heavy machinery topple or slip, it could have devastating consequences, as proved the case."
Police have praised shop staff and a customer for their bravery in detaining a shoplifter knife man in Enfield. Stephen Bangs, 32, was jailed for 18 months after the incident in Tesco Express in Bullsmore Lane, just after 10:30pm on December the 13th last year. Bangs of Bullsmore Way, Waltham Cross, has stolen meat and placed it in his coat and bag. He was stopped by staff and told to return the items, but then produced a knife with a 6-centimetre blade and threatened them. With help from a customer, they took the knife from Bangs, who was taken to an area at the back of the store where a security guard stayed with them. Officers arrived and arrested him. When Bangs was searched, he was found with passports, bank cards, a chequebook and £16 in rupees. The documents were not in his name and had been stolen from a vehicle in Hertfordshire 10 days before. He was sentenced at Woolwich Crown Court after admitting making threats with an offensive weapon in a public place, handing stolen goods and shoplifting, and he received a 12-month prison sentence for the weapon offence, 4 months for handling stolen goods and 2 months for shoplifting, all to run consecutively. PC Ben Hillier from Enfield CID said, "The incident could have resulted in someone being seriously injured, and I welcome the sentence the court has passed. I would also like to praise Tesco's store staff and the member of the public for their bravery, which resulted in the offender being brought to justice."
Life-saving first aid skills, which could prevent a baby choking to death, are being offered to parents to coincide with a national TV advertising campaign. St John Ambulance is running 2 training courses in Enfield, teaching the correct technique for dealing with such an emergency. It comes after a survey by the charity found 75% of parents wouldn't know what to do. The 40-second animated film features Johnny Vegas, David Williams, John Hurt and David Mitchell as the voices of objects which are common choking hazards. Within 4 days of its launch last month, more than 4 million people had viewed it, and 7 parents have reported their baby's life has been saved as a result. The 3-hour first aid courses are open to all age groups and teach how to deal with common medical emergencies. The courses will take place on Saturday, February the 7th and Saturday, February the 21st from 9 a.m. to noon at the St John Ambulance Headquarters in Shirley Road, Enfield. A course costs £25 plus VAT. Call 0844 770 4800 to register. Len Bamber, Regional Director of London St John's Ambulance, said, "Our highly successful New Year campaign shows that having a new baby in the home is a time when parents start thinking about learning first aid, as they're doing everything they can to protect the new arrival from harm. We can help with that important work. We're offering people a great low-cost opportunity at convenient times to learn the practical skills needed to save the lives of their children, relatives, friends, or a complete stranger."
A senior councillor has denied Labour has broken its manifesto promises to scrap weekly bin collections. Councillor Chris Bond, Cabinet Member for Environment, stated that no decision had been made on waste collections as the council consults with thousands of residents on reassessing waste collection. Nick Dubois, Enfield North MP, lambasted the council for wasting taxpayers' money on opinion polling. He said, Labour-run Enfield Borough Council is overseeing a shocking waste of taxpayers' money with this opinion polling. Their manifesto contained a clear commitment to keep weekly collections, and yet here they are using public money to test the waters on breaking that promise. Labour should come clean on their plans. However, Councillor Bond believes that the council was right to spend money on consulting with residents. He said, in our manifesto, we said that we would be having one waste collection a week. We did not specify which type of waste we would be collecting. We are looking to find out what residents would be comfortable with regarding their waste collection, and no decision has been made. The councillor also told the Enfield Independent that normal waste costs the council £160 to collect, whereas the same volume of recyclables costs £6.
This is a letter from Shirley Maher, Anderville Road, Enfield Lock. Many pedestrians have been injured by uncaring cyclists ignoring other people on pavements and roads. I am one of them. I got knocked into the road by a large man on a heavy racing bike. No bones were broken, but I damaged ligaments and muscles. Since the summer, I have had constant pain in my left shoulder and upper arm. No redress. Get out of my way, he shouted. Afterwards, he looked at his bicycle and cycled away. Cyclists should have some form of identification, like cars. If they cause an accident or injure somebody, they should be responsible for their actions. They can't be made responsible, so the ones who do not care think that anything goes. Others have to get out of their way.
Tesco has removed sweets and chocolate from its checkouts in all of its stores. The firm's 12 branches in the borough are among 500 in London to have removed the sweets to promote healthy living. David Wood, Managing Director of Health and Wellness for Tesco, said, "We hope this will make our customers' lives easier, as taking sweets and chocolates off the checkouts will really help parents with young children. The response we've had from parents has been positive, so it'll be interesting to see if any other supermarkets follow our lead and do the same thing."
A Labour councillor was suspended after it emerged he had been convicted of fraud offences for using a fake taxi badge. Nazimi Erbil, a taxi driver who represents residents in the Lower Edmonton ward, was convicted of fraud offences last September after he was found to be driving with a fake all-London green taxi licence, when he was only entitled to drive his cab in Enfield, Haringey, Waltham Forest and Hackney. He was fined £580 and given 8 points on his licence, as well as a 4-week suspended prison sentence. Councillor Erville said, "I can't give you a comment about this during election time. It wouldn't be fair on my party. But it's not true. I wasn't convicted, and I haven't been suspended." In a statement, the Labour Party said, "The Labour Party expects the highest standard of conduct from our councillors and takes action when they fall short. As soon as the information came to our attention, Nazimi Erbil was administratively suspended from the Labour Party pending an investigation." Opposition Conservative leader Councillor Terry Neville said, "People who commit offences of dishonesty are unfit for public office, and he should resign for this."
And now for an item from Monty Meth, the Life President for Enfield Over 50s Forum. Last October, the Trade Union Congress led a march through London under the banner "Britain Needs a Pay Rise." On January 17th, the Times front page headline read, "Give Britain a Pay Rise." Cameron tells companies to pass windfall profits on to workers. The Prime Minister was not, however, heeding the message of Britain's 6 million trade unionists. Mr Cameron was suggesting it was time that the cut in the cost of producing energy, coal is down 45%, gas down 25%, and oil has dropped from $115 a barrel last June to below $50, was felt by everyone. So with more cold winter days and nights ahead, the Over 50s Forum is holding a free winter fair at Enfield County School, Enfield Town, on Friday, February the 20th, with a wide range of topics, from energy efficient bingo to expert help on keeping homes warm and cutting energy bills. We never forget that over the past 10 years, a staggering 250,000 people over the age of 65 in England and Wales died from cold-related illnesses such as heart attacks or strokes. 320 of them were people in Enfield dying in the past 2 winters, and there are some 10,000 families in our borough in fuel poverty, spending too much of their low incomes on heating and cooking. You will need a programme in advance for our Beat the Winter Blues Day, which starts at 10 a.m. and includes a free lunch. Just call the Over 50s Forum on 0208 807 2076.
A supermarket had its alcohol licence revoked after illegal booze was seized from the store. Ordnance Supermarket in Ordnance Road, Enfield, had its licence to sell alcohol taken away following an Enfield Borough Council committee hearing. The shop was found to have sold drinks bottles bearing fake stickers in order to avoid paying duty on 2 separate occasions. On October the 15th, 2014, Trading Standards and the HMRC seized 21 bottles of wine, 39 bottles of spirits and 3 bottles of beer. 10 days later, the shelves had been refilled with the same counterfeit items, which were also seized. Trading Standards Officer Charlotte Palmer told the committee that the sale of counterfeit items should be taken seriously and the shop's licence should be fully revoked. The shop's owner, Ibrahim Korkmaz, who has owned the store for more than 10 years, admitted to the error, but claimed he had not intentionally sold illicit goods and had since been more careful of his suppliers. But committee chairman Derek Levy questioned the shop owner on his purchases and believed that a man who has owned a shop for more than a decade should have known better. The shop now has the opportunity to appeal against the decision. If they choose to do that, the licence would remain in place while an appeal was reviewed.
Work has begun to build the first council homes in the borough for 30 years. Developers have moved on to the Parsonage Lane site in Enfield, one of 7 areas that will see 97 homes comprising of 34 affordable homes and 57 private rented properties. Letters were delivered to residents around Parsonage Lane to confirm that work had begun on 29 new homes on that site. Enfield Borough Council struck a deal to build the new homes with Kia Property in October last year.
A football club has served up an unexpected ace, a tennis programme for teenage girls. The Tottenham Hotspur Foundation has launched the new tennis scheme, which is aimed at girls aged between 13 and 19. Based at Bush Hill Park Tennis Club in Abbey Road, Enfield, the 30-week programme will give girls of all abilities a chance to develop their tennis skills. It is part of the Foundation's Premier League 4 sport scheme, in which coaches will deliver a range of sporting activities to young people in 22 clubs, schools and community sports hubs across Haringey, Enfield, Barnet and Waltham Forest. Grant Cornwall, the Foundation's Chief Executive Officer, said, "Traditionally, many young people in inner-city London have had limited access to tennis coaching and facilities. However, through the Premier League for Sport programme, we hope to create opportunities for young women from across our boroughs to participate in fun, accessible tennis sessions. Young people who take part in these sessions will not only improve their tennis ability, but also their social skills, self-esteem, and help them to develop positive attitudes."
And this is a letter from J. Ayubi of Drayton Gardens, Winchmore Hill. It seems in the past couple of months that many dog owners in the Winchmore Hill area have suffered a responsibility bypass. To put it bluntly, there is dog mess everywhere. In a 10-minute walk between Drayton Gardens and Winchmore Hill Triangle one day, I had to dodge a mound of dog mess on almost every pavement. The footpaths around St Paul's School are particularly bad, and on the way I met a man waiting for his young son who was trying to clean the mess off the soles of his shoes. "Dog mess?" I asked. "It's the bane of our lives," he replied. I have come out of my own house twice in the last month to be met by a small hill of dog dung right outside my driveway. My neighbour, who is a responsible dog owner, agrees. she has to wash the filth of her dog's paws after every walk. What on earth is going on? Do dog owners no longer care about their local environment? Is it too cold for them to bend down and pick up the poo? Do they themselves not find it disgusting to face this tide of excrement every day? If you're a responsible dog owner in Winchmore Hill who clears their mess, please encourage your fellow owners to do the same whenever you can. If you're one of the people who's not clearing up after your dog, come on, stop giving dogs and their owners a bad reputation. Consider your neighbours and your neighbourhood, and please clean up after your dog.
A club that knits new friendships as well as clothes raised cash for a children's hospice, one stitch at a time. Members of Knit and Natter, which meets at the Dugdale Centre in London Road, Enfield, were astounded when they discovered they had collected £500 for Noah's Ark Children's Hospice. The club, which was launched 2 years ago, has raised a total of £1,000 for the Barnet-based charity since Easter 2014. Liz Gilbert, who runs the club, said, "We are over the moon, but we couldn't have done this without the generosity of people donating wool for us. We're proud to have raised this money. The club is win-win because it brings lots of ladies together who live on their own and gives them a chance to chat and make friends. Each session costs 50p, but those who knit items for charity are entitled to claim free wool. Members knit clothes for children between 6 months and 7 years old, and Mrs. Gilbert, a retired property manager, sells them on at fairs. The group has also raised £375 for the Over 50s Forum in Enfield. The club meets every Tuesday from 2pm to 4pm and every Wednesday from 10:30 to 12:30pm. For more information, call Liz Gilbert on 020 8360 7386.
Plans for a multi-million-pound cycling scheme will be revealed to the public early next month. The Cycle Enfield scheme saw the borough win £30 million from Transport for London to revolutionise cycle routes in the area. Several Cycle Enfield Partnership Board meetings have taken place discussing the possible options for each town centre. The first event will take place at the Fox Public House in Green Lane, Palmer's Green, on Wednesday, February the 11th. Other events will be held at the Dugdale Centre in London Road, on Tuesday, February the 17th, Community House in 4th Street, Edmonton, on March the 2nd, and the Ordnance Unity Centre in Hertford Road, Enfield, in April the 2nd. All the exhibitions will run from 3pm to 8pm. Enfield Borough Council's Cabinet Member for Environment, Councillor Chris Bond, said this is an opportunity for residents to see our exciting proposals for Cycle Enfield, ask questions about them and provide their own early views on challenges and opportunities. We have attracted significant investment into our borough, and this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for us to revolutionise cycling in our borough. Enfield Council is absolutely committed to improving our cycle network, transforming our borough for residents and getting more people on their bikes, therefore improving air quality and their health, and Cycle Enfield will be integrated into that process.
A man and a woman were arrested after police found £800 of cannabis in a raid at a flat. Officers seized the drugs and a CS spray in a pre-planned raid in Glenlock Road, Enfield, last Thursday. A woman, aged 32, and a man, aged 31, were arrested and taken to a North London police station where they remain in police custody. Sergeant Velda Ewan, who leads the team, said, "Police in Enfield are committed to tackling drug crime in the area. This operation has taken a dangerous weapon off the streets and helped stop the peddling of drugs, which blights so many lives."
Enfield Council is inviting residents to have their say on plans to overhaul leisure services across the borough. The draft Leisure, Sports, Arts, Heritage and Culture Strategy is set to be officially unveiled at Southbury Road Centre in Southbury Road, Enfield, tomorrow. The active and creative plans, which include a raft of measures aimed at getting Enfield residents healthier and more active while promoting cultural events, is set to kick off with a demonstration of Zorb football, a new take on the game in which all players wear the inflatable plastic spheres, turning it into a contact sport. Rohini Simbodial, the Council's Cabinet Member for Culture, Sport, Youth and Public Health, said, "We want to get Enfield's residents moving physically, socially and culturally so they can enrich their lives and be more active, happier, healthier and better off financially. We know it's becoming increasingly difficult for people to find time to take part in activities, so we're working really hard to make them available at times which suit residents and making them as accessible as possible. So there really is no excuse not to get up and get involved." The strategy can be viewed at www.enfield.gov.uk/file/10574/draft_strategy. The consultation runs until February the 18th.
A Tory councillor will run as UKIP's candidate for Enfield Southgate at the general election. David Schofield, who was councillor for the Conservatives between 2002 and 2006 in Enfield, will contest Conservative David Burrow's seat on May the 7th. Mr Schofield stood in Chase Ward in the local elections in May 2014 as a UKIP candidate, but lost. He said, "The problems being faced by our health service in Enfield, such as increased A&E waiting times and the shortfall in GP provision, is reflected on a national level. For a period of more than a decade, we have been subjected to incompetent and deceitful handling of our health service, from the private finance initiative debt incurred under the Labour government to the interest from which is still lining the pockets of wealthy investors and the GP contracts signed by that same government which freed GPs from out-of-hours attendance, thus placing pressure on A&E departments."
We have reached the end of our programme for this week. Thank you for listening. So, from the team of
Caroline,
Maureen
and Roz,
John and
Jason.
on the controls, it's
goodbye.
goodbye. Please remember to turn over the address label in your postal packet. Put the cassette into the packet and return it to us as soon as possible in readiness for the next edition. Don't forget you can call Diane de Jersey regarding any help you may require in connection with Enfield Talking Newspaper. The Enfield Talking Newspaper will be with you again in 1 week's time.